What happens when the man who mapped the unconscious, who gave us archetypes, shadow work, and the language of the soul, quietly reveals that he saw beyond death itself? And what if he kept it hidden for nearly a lifetime? Carl Jung, the father of analytical psychology, spent his life diving into the darkest corners of the human psyche. But in the spring of 1944, after suffering a heart attack, Jung experienced something that shattered even his own vast framework of understanding. This wasn't theory, it wasn't philosophy, it was a vision, raw, powerful, and otherworldly. And for almost 80 years it remained hidden, not in his books, but in a single personal letter. A letter meant for one soul, never publicly revealed, until now. Before we begin, subscribe to Deep Psyche, where we explore the hidden dimensions of the mind and the sacred path of inner transformation. Now let's continue. During his near-death state, Jung wrote of floating above the earth, not as a man, but as a witness. He saw our planet suspended in space, glowing like a jewel, beautiful yet distant. And from that vantage point, something ancient stirred. He was drawn into what he called a cosmic temple. But this was not built of stone, not made by hands. It was constructed of light, silence, and timelessness, a place beyond thought. There were no angels, no deities, no voices, only presence, a conscious force that did not speak, but understood. In that sacred temple, Jung realized, what we call consciousness is just the flicker of a flame. What we think of as the self is only the mask. What remained in that space was something untouched by time, memory, or identity. It was not Carl Jung, the psychologist. It was something older, something eternal. And for a moment he understood what psychology had never dared to confront directly. The soul is real, and death is not an ending. It is a door. Just before returning to life, Jung was shown a vision, not of his past, but of a possible future. He called it the space between worlds. In that vision, the boundaries between life and death began to dissolve. Humanity began to perceive more, to feel more. But with this awakening came a warning. In this new world, everything was illuminated. But where there is no shadow, there is no depth. Pain, suffering, confusion, these had been erased, but so had meaning. Without darkness, light becomes blinding. Without struggle, the soul becomes weightless. Jung realized it is through contrast, through shadow, that transformation occurs. We are not meant to transcend suffering, but to be forged by it. He didn't romanticize pain. He understood its alchemical purpose. Without the night, the dawn means nothing. In that state beyond death, Jung was allowed to ask a single question. He chose the one that haunted him all his life. What is truth? The answer came not in words, but in a vision. A great tree, its roots buried deep in darkness, its branches ablaze with light. And he understood. Truth is not knowledge. It is not belief. Truth is growth. Truth is what survives the fire. It is earned, not given, felt, not taught. This moment changed everything for him. When he returned to his body, he did not speak of it publicly. Instead, he buried the vision beneath symbols, inside his studies of alchemy, mythology, and ancient texts. His public writings became more cautious, but this letter was different. It was his soul speaking, without mask or method. Before we go further, if this journey is opening something within you, don't let it end here. Share this video with someone who walks the same path. Subscribe to Deep Psyche and help us continue this work of psychological and spiritual illumination. Now let us continue. Toward the end of the letter, Jung makes a cryptic admission. He writes that not all that waits beyond death is light. There are guardians, intelligences who stand at the threshold. They are not evil, but they do not allow passage for the unready. Jung wrote, I was not allowed to go further until I had fully become who I was meant to be. He called them gatekeepers, not demons. They were tests, mirrors of the self, and their message was simple. This realm is not for the curious, it is for the initiated. And then, in his final line, if you are reading this, it means you've already heard the call. This wasn't meant for academics or skeptics. It was for you, the one who's been to the edge, who's felt reality bend in moments of grief, silence, or awe. It was for the one who knows the world is not as it seems. This is not about belief. It is about experience. It is not theory. It is initiation. Carl Jung never published this vision. He knew the world wasn't ready. Maybe even now, we're only beginning to be. But the timing of its rediscovery feels less like coincidence and more like invitation. To sit with silence, to let the veil grow thin, to ask not what is real, but who am I when all else falls away? Because when death comes, not as terror, but as revelation, will you remember? Will you know that this was always a journey home? Jung's message wasn't about life after death. It was about life before death. Are you living it, or are you still waiting to begin? The point, Jung whispered to us through symbol and silence, is not to escape death. It is to pass through it and finally remember who you've always been. If these words stirred something in you, don't let them fade. Comment below, share what rose in you. Your voice might awaken another, and subscribe to Deep Psyche. This journey is just beginning.